Hello and welcome to the audio edition of BestowCast. So I guess I need to address something here. Been kind of gone for a while, and some of the stuff that kind of, life kind of happens, and life kind of puts some stuff on delay. So the podcast has been gone for a while. I mean, Bestow TV as a whole on YouTube has kind of been on hiatus for a bit. My computer had reached a nuclear meltdown. My only editing computer. Which kind of set me back for a bit. So this episode is going to come out a little bit out of place in comparison to the other stuff. I'm going to work on editing the old stuff back. Maybe it's just for best that BestowCast actually remains a podcast instead of a vodcast, because it gets a little bit difficult trying to set up the set every day and set up the cameras and set up everything else. So where have I been during this time? Well, I had to modify the streaming rig to become an editing rig. So it included having to, add more parts to the inside and add more RAM and everything else. It wasn't really intended that the streaming deck was going to be an editing deck, but now it's an editing deck, which kind of puts us backwards when it comes to streaming. Now, I don't have a dedicated streaming deck that's separate from my editing deck, but I guess it's time to, work that forward and try to get that stuff together. All right, with that out of the way, let's cover some news, I guess. Some collecting news, some news about Pulsecon. So Pulsecon just happened not too terribly long ago, and they announced their new arrivals. So it was a two-day online event that you could watch, via YouTubes. And so basically, they everything was broken down. If you were watching the pre-show, they gave some name-only drops during the pre-show that General Hawk and Tripwire were coming to the G.I. Joe line. Then they went into like the Transformers line. I'm kind of in and out. I mean, so this is the Paul Sanders BestowCast take on Transformers. For me, Transformers was basically like I'm in and out at Generation 1. I was out of Transformers by the time Beast Wars came around. So it's like and everything else, like, I like the nostalgia of it all. But anything beyond Generation 1 is just kind of a loss to me. It's just like I kind of don't care. Like I kind of like what's in that bubble of Generation 1. No Generation 2, no Beast Wars, no Beast Machines, no Prime. Unfortunately, it's just that one little bubble, and then they just constantly like tweak that bubble. So two of the things that they announced. One of them was the whole Dinobots, and that the Dinobots are now going to be a combiner. So they're introducing a sixth Dinobot that's going to be a combiner. Like, that's the kind of stuff that kind of, it's I get it. It's fan service. Fans kind of dictate the IP, so Hasbro just kind of follows suit and just does the IP, follows through with the IP. It's just kind of weird that everything is a combiner, everything is this, everything is that, and that's kind of why I kind of don't follow. Once Generation 1 ended with Headmasters and the American canon, I'm pretty much done. I was kind of out. Just growing up wise in my adult nostalgia, geeky, old man child, I guess I could say, kind of aspect of it. But they did the Dinobot reveal. It's kind of weird. They only reveal like a handful of them, and then they're like, "Oh, this becomes a combiner." And you'll notice this throughout the whole Pulsecon kind of thing. And then they introduced the Wreckers. The Wreckers? The Junkions, with a new character who is a tow truck, which looks pretty cool, but they too are combiners. So it's kind of nice to have something beyond Wreck-Gar. I know that there's like another one that's just Wreck-Gar painted differently, and it's just a variant, and they gave him a name and stuff, but it's kind of interesting that they chose like a dump truck or not a dump truck, a tow truck, a rusted out tow truck. But of course, that's got to be a combiner as well. And I mean, again, I'm not really into. I mean, I have nostalgia for the Transformers line. I buy stuff based off of, if it's Generation One. So I bought like I think like the one of the few pieces that I got here was like the reprint of Soundwave, because I just never had Soundwave when I was a child. So I just got the Soundwave figure that was in the retro packaging and everything else. And I guess like as far as like current collectibles, they do like this large scale Transformers the movie line, which I've been picking up sporadically because it's just that's basically where Transformers ended for me, was Transformers the movie, the first animated movie. I really don't like the Michael Bay Transformer stuff. Watching those movies is like I feel like my eyeballs need a tetanus shot when I'm done. So it's like I don't really favor or lean towards the toy line that's based off of those movies. I mean, again, I have to pick and choose. I can't collect everything, so I pick and choose not to do the Michael Bay formers. So and then they did pre-orders. I think I ordered something off of the pre-order. I can't even remember what I ordered. I ordered one Transformer. I think it might have been a Soundwave. I think it's what I ended up pre-ordering. This would probably be out of whack. I mean, I'm gonna have to refer to Gizmodo's list here, but the Marvel Legends, of course. It's kind of weird being a collector, and I try to focus on like one aspect. I've said on the podcast before where it's when I was a teenager, or when I was a young adult, I collected. I had nostalgia for the Star Wars line. So when Star Wars came back out and they were reintroducing all those figures with the Power of the Force line, I was picking up every single thing in the wave. And it just got to the point where it's like, I just had boxes upon boxes upon boxes of things that I bought. I bought duplicates of everything, and in hopes that maybe I'll sell them, and maybe I'll have that yak face that's worth like $300 or whatever, and it'll make the whole collection worth it. My collection ended with Episode 1. I still have long boxes somewhere of Episode 1 toys. And of course, I left them in storage, of which like the mice and the wild animals had at it. So moving on to future Paul, or current Paul, I try to limit myself to like specific things. So like in the Star Wars line, it's just like I usually lean towards like Sith characters or Mando characters. And I'll be damned if like Hasbro's like, oh well, we'll just cater to that particular person because I'm probably not the only one, and just like that's all we'll focus on. We'll make it. Disney will make an entire series of Mandalorians and Boba Fett's, and we're gonna just we're just going to print the hell out of all that crap, and my wallet's paying for it. So going back to like the Marvel lines again, it's just like pick and choose. It's like I'm a big Wolverine fan, so I just kind of try to stick to Wolverine. And then they announced so at this past Hasbro Con they announced the Wolverine, the yellow and blue X-Men uniform Wolverine. I'm more of a fan of the brown and orange myself. That was the first book that I ever got into, but it's Wolverine, so. That was on my radar, along with, then they also announced Multiple Man, which that was a skip for me. I'm trying to think of the other, Spiral, that's her name. Spiral was another one that was announced, and it's just like, all right, I'm in. Long Shot was announced. I was like, all right, I'm in. They no pre-order, but there was an exact, once you ordered it, it was shipped, and it arrived here the other day, but I got the Mojo to go with it. I didn't get the Mojo collector set that had the unique Mojo, the unique Baby Wolverine, ex-Baby Wolverine, the unique Dazzler, the unique Long Shot. But, I ended up getting into Spiral, Long Shot, and Mojo, along with Wolverine. Avalanche, which was an easy skip for me. Again, I said Long Shot, and Multiple Man was an easy skip. Well, I ordered Long Shot, but Multiple Man was a skip for me. The Hasbro Pulse exclusive was, of course, Iron Man, which was a skip for me, and Dark Phoenix. Damn it, if that wasn't a skip for me. I kind of went all in for that. So, what are your thoughts on the Marvel line, or what are your thoughts about the Dinobots line? You know, if you go to facebook.com/BestowTV, I'd like to hear from you, and you know, if you're able to comment on wherever you're listening to this, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Moving on, of course, they have the Cyclops, the Marvel Legends series Cyclops that comes in the VHS cassette box. Again, I think I only went with the Wolverine for the, you know, this is modeled after the 90s cartoon. I only went in for the Wolverine one, which I think was last year's. So again, another thing that was hard is, again, I had to pick and choose what I want in my collection, and then they announced, hey, we've got the Indiana Jones license. And I'm just kind of thinking in the back of my head, what kid was like, you know, because Hasbro was like always saying this is for kids, this isn't for the adult collectors, this is for kids. What kid was after Indiana Jones? What kids are requesting Indiana Jones? I mean, this feels to me like that's totally an adult collector thing. And Indiana Jones is weird because it doesn't really it always like ebbs and flows. It always like comes, you know, they release a few of them and then the line kind of dies out and then it disappears for like what, 10 years. And then it comes back out, you know, another movie comes and then they dump them all out again and then they disappear again. And I don't know, like, again, I'm trying to be selective, but when they're like, here's Indiana Jones and here's Tot, and I'm like, damn it. but the other bizarro thing is like, well, they have Marion, they have Sala, they have Renee I can't think of his name, Belloc, I think. And it's just like, you know, for the adult collector in me, it's like my collection begins and ends with Indiana Jones and Tot. You know, if they, you know, it sucks because you got to get all 6 figures if you want the Ark of the Covenant. But, you know, looking at future lines, the only other thing that I would be interested in moving into the future is like maybe a Molaram. You know, he was like, you know, in Temple of Doom is like my favorite movie. My favorite is probably like the first movie I remember seeing in theaters. So it would be like a Molaram, maybe an Indiana Jones in a white, in his white tuxedo, maybe a short round. But after that, it's like, you know, the line's pretty much done for me. There's not a whole hell of a lot. You know, you know, I guess what, Henry Jones Sr. when we get to the Last Crusade. You know what? The Templar. Actually, you know what? If they would make the Templar, that would be freaking awesome. I can't lie about that. But yeah, they announced the Indiana Jones line for the new collectors out there, and I'm kind of curious. I mean, I kind of, you know, again, I would like to have them all around and stuff. I'd like to see the line at least exist enough to get the good figures out and hopefully not die, you know, after this first wave. Yeah, so it's Marion. Let's see here. Marion Waver, Renee Belloc, who's dressed in ceremonial garb, so he'll probably get a variant that's not dressed in ceremonial garb. Sala. So it's just kind of weird day and age where you're collecting Nazis, I guess. You know, Tots doesn't hide that fact. And then, of course, the Ark of the Covenant that you have to collect all the pieces. Yeah, Ra's headpiece. They call these role-playing items. I'm sure there's somebody that's into the stuff of Ra, but that's kind of easily a pass for me. I'm going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back, and we'll pick up with G.I. Joe. Welcome back, and we're talking about Hasbro Pulsecon, and we're into the G.I. Joe section. So this is my Star Wars kryptonite kind of thing. I've kind of been into the G.I. Joe classified figures pretty much I don't want to say when it started. I remember them making announcements and seeing it on the shelf. I'm like, oh, that's neat. The GI Joe's coming back. And then eventually, I think it probably came about when I wanted to produce a toy show for my YouTube channel, where it's like, all right, I'll get a few of these figures. And now, 2 years later, and I'm all in with pretty much everything. As a matter of fact, I the only one I'm missing is the 00 Snake Eyes, which is no big loss to me. Paint variants, the retro line from Walmart, give or take, whatever. And as of today, as of this recording, I had a Outback, the Tiger Force Outback ordered for like a year now on Target. And I get it's been a year, and it's like every day you get three emails from Target. Here's some bedding. Here's a trash can you might be interested in. Here's a funky hat. And it's like, ugh. I only signed up to this because of the stupid exclusives, because Hasbro has to do exclusives with everybody. So at the beginning of this week, I got a message saying that the Outback was delayed a week. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I get messages from Amazon. It's delayed. No big deal. I get messages from Big Bad Toy Store. It's been delayed. No big deal. I get messages from Hasbro themselves. Hey, this has been delayed. No big deal. So I just saw the headline and didn't think no big deal. And then when I got up this morning, I saw a message saying, your order's been canceled. And I'm like, what? And I look into it, and it's like, I didn't respond to that email. Apparently, you have to confirm. So this is a good learning moment for those newbie collectors out there, where it's like if you get an email from Target saying that your order's been delayed, you have to respond to that, or they cancel that out from under you. So the thing that the things like the Vipers, what is it? Viper Island. Is it Viper Island? I think it's Viper Island. It's the Bat and the it's another trooper. I can't think of it. There was three of them, and it's like out of all of them, Outback was the one I wanted the most. I could care less about the paint variants of the other two. I kind of interested in the Outback figure, but it's canceled. So now I'm hoping to find it on the shelves, because this has only been out for a year. And because of their stupid, oh, you got to reply, I ended up missing out on it. But you know what? It's going to happen. I kind of look at this G.I. Joe thing like the Star Wars thing. It's like I'm all in for every single damn wave that comes out. And there's just going to be a point in time where they're just going to, A, they're going to overproduce them. And B, they've already raised the price on them to be not really worth my time. So eventually, they may end up going the way of the dodo. I mean, I kind of... I want to be all in on it, but when they make it so darn a pain in the ass to get everything, it's just like, what am I? This doesn't fix my computer. This doesn't fix my editing rig. This doesn't put food on the table. So it's like, push comes to shove, I guess I'm gonna have to cancel it. But then here's the Hasbro line. So they introduced another bat, a Crimson Bat. Another barbecue, another paint variant, and Falcon, Vincent Falcone, or codename Falcon, Outback, who is the normal painted Outback, and CoverGirl, which I was super stoked to see CoverGirl. I wish she kind of came with her Wolverine, but whatever. So those were the lines that were announced, and of course, we've got our paint variants out there that are I think if I got to pick and choose, it's got to start boiling down to the paint variants. But what sucks is that the barbecue is the Mad Marauders. Notice that they're no longer called the Slaughter's Marauders. They are the Mad Marauders, and I feel like they have to, Hasbro has to pay Slaughter every time they use his name, so they changed the name of the team of Slaughter's Marauders to Mad Marauders, and it's just kind of annoying that the barbecue that the normal colored barbecue was a Target exclusive, and this paint variant is the one that's out there, and it's just like, again, if I got to pick and choose, I'm going to start eliminating the variants, because this is starting to get too much. And then of course, the bat. And then the big reveal, the thing that everybody knew for I don't know, 6 months, maybe a year, was of course the Serpentor exclusive. And here we go with our exclusives. I know anybody and everybody has been crying about Serpentor and Dr. Mindbender, And and Hasbro's like, it's not like these guys aren't going to get a future release. It's just the fact that, I guess when it came to Zartan, or even I guess to a degree the Cobra Commander exclusive, that these characters already you could get them as is. You could already get them. When you get to like Serpentor and Mindbender, they're available only as exclusives, which is first come first serve. If you're lucky to get it, you're lucky, and if you're a completionist, good luck. But it's also a hard thing to say too, where it's like, yeah, Dr. Mindbender's an exclusive, and yeah, Serpentor's an exclusive. But if these don't sell out, or if these don't make enough waves or whatever, maybe you'll never see them in another iteration. Or the Serpentor probably will never come with the air chariot. It'll probably just be Serpentor himself. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to put my finger on it. I don't want to be like a lot of the other people out there. Oh, this sucks. I'm selling my entire set because I didn't get this. It's like, I get it. Hasbro's a company there to make money, and this thing isn't like bread or milk and cereal, beef. I don't know, whatever. You pick your food that you like to eat. It's just weird. And then just the fact that this stuff is like never on the shelves and always in like eBay, and always it's stuck in scalper hell. Nerf blasters with GI Joe. I mean, we used to have fun with Nerf when my kids were younger. We used to have a bunch of Nerf guns and Nerf battles and everything. They all grew out of it. So eventually the guns break and so forth. But Nerf announced their GI Joe crossover, which just has a logo slapped on. If I was into Nerf or whatever, I wouldn't be too excited about it. It's like, ooh, so you're making me pay double for this thing that just has the GI Joe and Cobra logo on it. That was an easy pass for me. And then of course now we get to like the Star Wars stuff, like that. Star Wars. And here, again, I was complaining in segment 1 where it's like I got to pick and choose, and it's just like, oh, I'm a little bit into Transformers if it's G1 stuff. I'm a lot bit into GI Joe. I'm a little bit into Marvel, and then there's Star Wars, which they're like, let's make everything Mando and Boba Fett. And I was fearful of my wallet when it came to the Star Wars panel, but luckily it's all Andor, and I'm not really into Andor, so that was an easy skip for me. I haven't watched the show yet. I'll check it out sometime. It's just not really. I'm just on a personal level, I'm just kind of tired of these prequel kind of things, especially when you know the fate of the characters. So, I mean, I guess to quote a friend, it's not necessarily the arc. It's just the fact that you get to have adventures with this guy, and it's like, all right, I guess I could have some adventures with Andor, but it's like I'd rather have had adventures with Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, and it was completely robbed of that. But they introduced Andor for 2023 for the Black Series. So it includes Cassian Andor, Bix Caleen, Ruth and Rael, and Senator Mon Mothra. I only know 2 of those characters because of the movies. The rest of that's for the Disney Plus series, and I can't say much for that. They had an exclusive. Well, they had 2 exclusives. There was an Andor exclusive, which was an easy pass for me, and then the Rescue set, which I thought was a 6-inch set, but it turns out that it's vintage. Hasbro's labeling drives me nuts. Where it's like, oh, there's the Black Series, which is 6-inch, and then there's vintage, and then there's retro. There's retro on top of it. So like if you're into I kind of moved out of the 3 3/4, and I want to, I leaned a little bit more into the 6-inch stuff, and I thought this was 6-inch until after I had ordered it, and then I read, and it's like, oh, vintage. And it's not the same across the board. I think it's like for Indiana Jones, it's like the Adventure series is like the 6-inch, and for Hasbro, it's like for Marvel, it's like the Legends are the 6-inch figures, and I don't know what it's like. Everything has a different name, and it's confusing. It's very confusing on what to order. But this is a 3 3/4 rescue set. I thought it was a 6-inch, but that's okay. which features the Mando, Dark Trooper, Grogu, and Moff Gideon in that final scene of I think it was season 1. But yeah, or maybe it was season 2. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've watched the Mando. But yeah, okay. And last I checked, it's still available. It's not something that's sold out right away. It's not like Serpentor that's sold out in like an hour. So if that's your thing, then yeah, check it out. They did the Figuring Dan and his I don't know if I'm going to get demonetized, but Jizz Whalers. There was a time in my history where I sought out the 12-inch Cantina bands. They were exclusive to certain stores, so it was hard to I drove all over. Like it was like I had collected the entire band set between Pennsylvania, West Virginia, like New York, I believe, like all over the place, just to collect the entire 12-inch band. And it sat in storage forever. And then artist Greg Horn, he was telling me about like his kid was really into like the oddities of like Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Me just complaining that kids aren't into Indiana Jones, and here's a kid that was into Indiana Jones, where he collected like figures like the Cantina band or Sala or anything else. So I talked to, I think it was Greg. I talked to Greg in like, I think it was Baltimore, and then by the time I got to New York Comic Con, which he's always has a table there, I had found the whole set of the 12-inch figures and just gave it to him. And I'm like, here, I this just sits in my collection. Give this to your son, and here he has an entire Cantina band. And Greg was beside himself, and he said his kid was super excited to have them. But here they announced that there's going to be a 3 3/4 line of Figuring Dan in the model nodes, MODALNODES, model nodes. That was a skip for me though. They did the Power Rangers / Street Fighter. Hey, if that's your thing, go for it. That was an easy skip for me. Power Rangers was after my time. Maybe I can have somebody on a future episode. We could talk Power Rangers or not in my case. So yep, more Power Rangers. The Power Rangers actual action figures they announced. Let's see here. There's 6-inch line. The Lightning Collection, because everything has to have its different name to cause brand confusion. But it was the Yellow Ranger, Dino Charge Blue Ranger, Dino Fury Green Ranger, and the Wild Force Putrid. Again, it was a pass for me. And I think that's everything. I mean, there was 2 more things. Let's see here. What do we have? We have a little bit of time left here. So the other thing that was there was that the Magic the Gathering announced a Transformers crossover, which is super bizarre and bonkers. Like I don't quite get that. I think that they're trying to suck in the Transformers collectors. I know, like me personally, I wouldn't mind a set. I haven't played Magic in a while, but I wouldn't mind a set of the Transformers cards. But of course, they're all mythic rare and super hard and will be super expensive to get. So that's an easy pass for me. And people that I know that plays Magic, they don't want Transformers in their Magic. They're like, okay, like seriously, Hasbro, like step off. It's like we don't need living metal robots in our Magic the Gathering. One particular fan that I talked to said, that they wish that they would do the sets kind of like Godzilla, where those cards exist already and they just have alternate art, and you had the Godzilla card, and then in brackets you had what the real card that they were emulating, and they kind of wish that they would just stick to that. Otherwise it's just kind of wonky, and I kind of get that. And the other thing that they announced was, and this was something that I was here super excited about, was the HeroScape set, because I had like quite a bit of the hero set back in the day. I think I had both waves when they came out. I think I'm missing like the jungles, because I was reading online where there's like a jungle set and there might be a lava set. I know I don't have those, but I was excited to see that they were going to bring that back. And of course they bring it back as a HasLab on the back of another HasLab on the back of another HasLab that just ended. And of course it has the price tag of $250. Which I'm sure that anybody and everybody has complained about that the HasLabs and how they're super expensive and super outpriced for what they really are. I was excited for this set, but I am not $250 excited for this set. Unfortunately, that's going to be a pass for me. If it comes out in shells, I will pick it up. I think one of the big determining factors, of course, for it to be a pass for me is the fact that they don't paint the figures anymore. They're all color coded to their faction, and it's like, oh, they're not going to blend very well with my old set. You're gonna instantly know the difference. But that was it. That was Hasbro Pulsecon. How do you guys like the new audio version of the podcast, BestowCast? I might lean into this a little bit more so than the vodcast. The vodcast just, I have there's a lot of plates to spin to produce the vodcast, especially if I'm doing a live stream version of the vodcast, and then to have to edit it and everything else. I end up with gaps, and it's like, YouTube and Anchor and all those things, Twitch, they want consistency. And when it's like, when you start reaching burnout levels or something happens where it's like, your computer dies and you have to go get a part-time job to fix the computer and to keep your collecting habit together, it just kind of creates this huge gap. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I know that this show has stalled on multiple occasions, to continue at least with the audio version, which will actually lend a hand if I want to get people on. If I want to get guests in or do interviews, I think it will lean a little bit better than having to have a video set up every single time. So that's it. Again, let me know what you think of the new. If you're able to comment on this, comment below. If you're able to thumbs up it. Please share it to all your friends, and reach out to me at facebook.com/Bestow TV. I'd like to chat and see what directions you would like the I'm sorry, it's not a vodcast. The podcast to the pod/vodcast to what directions you would like to see it. That's it. So long.